Vegan brain, what's going on? Poke Rapper, what's up? Have you ever taken a scoop of protein and your protein suddenly started to form spikes around the scoop like it's changed? No, that sounds really weird. What protein supplement were you taking? Sebastian, be back, what's going on? Oh, charged? Yeah, no. That still never happened to me. What protein just pea? Okay. Because usually pea is very, like soft and powdery. That sounds really weird. Like, it's not... It doesn't have a very dry, grainy kind of consistency. So that sounds especially weird that it would happen to you. Was it, like, flavored with anything? Or was it just plain pea protein, unsweetened, unflavored? I'm eating some goop right now. It's got a pea protein in it. Yeah, I've never had that happen before. So, today, we're gonna go through, a couple of Sean Baker's videos, and, if we have time, we'll talk about, Nina Teckles. I was gonna do, like, a proper video response to this, but I thought it'd be fun to go through some of it and just talk about why she's retarded. Oh, and something weird happened to me and Jasmine last night. Yeah, more to Jasmine than me. Yeah, I guess 14 people are already watching. That's really quick how so many people are watching. Usually it takes like at least 10 minutes for that many people to be watching. Hey Richard, your recent videos have been particularly good, especially the Logan Paul one. By the way, did you hear about the Shane Dawson allegations? Thanks, man. And yeah, the Shane Dawson allegations, like, they're totally bullshit. I don't know what the deal is with the channel that made up that bullcrap. I know Keemstar said he thought some pedophile organization paid the guy to make that video. I have no idea. Just sounds like a dude who wants to make up bullshit to smear someone. I don't know. Satanic Cabal, what's going on? Muslims invading your town? I don't know, not any more than normal. There's a pretty big Muslim community in Toronto. It's funny, there was a mosque in downtown Toronto, and the two imams, which are basically the religious leaders in the mosque, they were caught leading a prayer where they said they want to kill every atheist, Jew, and all non-Muslims. And then, of course, there were protests outside of that mosque, like, speaking out against this, talking about how You know, Islam promotes this kind of hatred. If you actually read the Quran, it promotes you to kill non-believers, like these two imams were preaching. And then mainstream news outlets all falsely reported the incident. They called it Islamophobia, unwarranted like attack on Muslims. The only fucking news outlet that reported on it accurately was, well, Rebel Media, which is a conservative news site, and The Sun, which is known for retarded bias bullshit. It's just fucking hilarious that the only time they do accurate reporting is when it involves Muslims. Would you rather suck a man's meat or a piece of meat? That... I think either one would be pretty freaking gross. I'd say probably a piece of meat, so long as I don't have to, like, so long as I wouldn't buy it. So what's up with some woman coming to your apartment? That's what I was going to talk about before we start these other videos. So last night, some drunk girl who was also drugged just walked into our apartment. Jasmine was the only one here. I was downstairs doing a little workout, and the girl just walks in, starts undressing, and then Jasmine was like, what are you doing? You don't live here. Huh? And Jasmine was in her underwear. And then she's like, yeah, I live here, 306, 306. She'd keep repeating these random numbers. It was really bizarre. So then, like, so then Jasmine went down into the basement where I was doing a workout. We have a little gym. At the time, like, I just wasn't paying much attention to it because I was focused on just working out. And I told Jasmine, like, just leave her in the lobby, and once she sobers up, she can find out where she lives. She did have, like, one of the apartment keys, like, for this building, so we knew she lived here. Well, she wasn't just drunk, she was drugged. She was in, like, a weird zombie-like state. And you could get her to do, like, pretty much anything. So Jasmine ended up trying, like, a bunch of keys in the mailbox, and she ended up finding out which apartment she's staying in. And then we take her up to her apartment. Her sister's there, and the girl, like, didn't even recognize her sister. She just said a bunch of random numbers again, and, like, I think she just saw, like, a bunch of, like, street names or numbers or something, and then just started repeating it. So she goes to her room, starts undressing, and just lies on the floor naked. And then we're talking with her sister, and apparently she had, like, 4 or 5 drinks, which is... And her sister said she had the same amount of drinks as her. So, and she didn't get this fucked up, so it was very clear that someone drugged her, like, slipped something in her drink. I don't know what it could have been, because she was in, like, a weird zombie-like state where you could tell her to do anything. Her friends also came to see if she was okay, and then they decided to call an ambulance, get her to the hospital, because apparently a really long time elapsed between when she got home from the bar, when she left the bar, they called a taxi or an Uber for her, and when she actually got back to the apartment. So they were worried that she was raped and somebody drugged her. So they called an ambulance. I guess they, like when she got there, they did a rape kit test thing and got like a toxicology report done. So, yeah, I wanted to actually make a video today talking about that because there's a lot of like really stupid, young, naive women who do crap like this where like it's just so bizarre to me that there's this like rape paranoia culture, like, and I'm sure most young women, especially if they go to university or college, are exposed to this, like where they're just convinced by fucking everyone that men are fucking scum, they're out to rape you, like what, that 1 in 5 women are raped or something, like these crazy fucking statistics are thrown at them. But then like they go out, like get drunk as fuck, they go home alone, like it's just so fucking retarded, like all these stupid things they do to make them as vulnerable as possible to increase their chances of rape when like they're fed this bullshit about how like women are raped all the time. It's just so fucking weird. So I wanted to talk about like the incident. Like I'm not going to reveal any names or anything, but just why like it's stupid to fucking go out and drink in the first place, I think. But even if you're going to do that, like there's things you can do to just protect yourself. Like always bring a friend along, have like not even necessarily a designated driver, just somebody who's going to stay sober the whole night to look after you. And if you do get seriously fucked up or drugged like that, make sure a friend comes along with you to make sure you're safe. Like it's really retarded. Well, Richard, the whole university anti-male agenda is exaggerated. Like, do you mean the rape statistics and things are exaggerated, or the idea that there's a lot of anti-male, the whole anti-male university thing, like, is exaggerated? Hey, Vegan Gains, have you heard about Switzerland's recent ban on boiling lobsters live or transporting them on ice? Yeah, I saw that article posted on Facebook. Um, like, I guess that's a good step in the right direction. It's just really weird how people will say, hey, you shouldn't boil lobsters alive. Make sure you, like, stab them in the head first and then you boil them. Like, it's very strange how like, we can recognize causing suffering is wrong, but then we skip the next logical realization that, oh, killing is wrong. I don't know why that's so difficult. What's your opinion on sex with animals? It was once legal in Denmark until April 21st, 2015. I think it's totally immoral. Animals, like, I'd consider them like children. They don't really have the cognitive capacity to make that kind of choice. So, I'd consider it tantamount to rape. Also, you can hurt a lot of animals by having sex with them. So, yeah, I think it's totally immoral. And it should be illegal. Anyone who has sex with animals should be thrown in jail or put in a correctional facility. It seems like Matt Dillahunty thinks he's a celebrity that deserves all that effort just to have a debate with him. Well, dude, he's full of fucking shit. Like, look, Apologetics Academy. Okay, so this is a video from Apologetics Academy. So as you can see, this is a live stream he did with some dude. So that's a live stream on a YouTube channel, and not only that, Apologetics Academy only has 1,600 subscribers. 1,600, not 100,000, like, no, 1,600 subs. And he did a live stream on on this YouTube channel, and he's saying, oh, I don't do live streams or whatever with random YouTubers. He's just full of shit. He's trying to avoid a debate. That's all that's going on. Richard, would you ever travel to Greece? Well, Jasmine wants to go to Rome. There's not really any reason for me to go to Greece, because Jasmine would like to go to Rome, and she says it's really pretty there. I guess we'd probably go eventually. Does keto... Wait, sorry. Suburban 6th grader will be allowed to use medical marijuana in school. For now, low-carb ketogenic diet like a golden cure for their daughter. Maureen Surin said the girl has leukemia. Does keto actually work for people like this? Is the overall suffering from the diet worth it for people like this? Okay, well... ketogenic diets are sometimes used to treat certain forms of cancer, but that's kind of taken out of context. Like, all these studies that use ketogenic diets for starving certain types of cancer cells, they're actual ketogenic diets, so they're at least 80% of calories coming from fat, usually 85% or more. It's pretty impractical for most people to actually follow a real ketogenic diet. Usually when people talk about keto, it's more like 50% of their calories are coming from fat, and the other like 30-40% is coming from protein, and then, you know, you've got maybe 10-20% coming from carbs. Like, a real keto diet is at least 80% of calories coming from fat. And also in these like ketogenic cancer studies, they're eating extraordinarily low calories, like 800 to 1,000 calories per day. So it's more of a technique to reduce appetite so that you can reduce calories as much as possible while still getting in like an adequate amount of nutrition. I wouldn't say it's really the ketogenic diet itself that has a beneficial effect on the cancer. It's really just that it's very low in protein, and it helps people pretty much not eat for extended periods of time to try to starve these cancer cells. So, and, like, I've talked about this before, but so many cancers grow because of saturated fat and cholesterol. So, yeah, ketogenic diets aren't really ideal for treating cancer. And, obviously, as well, the diet group with the lowest overall risk of cancer is vegans. So what does that tell you? Okay, so Dr. Sean Baker, he has his own YouTube channel. As you can see, he's retarded because not only does he eat like only steak, but he shoots his fucking videos vertically on his phone like a retard. So this guy, like, man, look at his fucking head. He just looks like he looks derped out all the fucking time. So we're just gonna go through this. This is titled "Carnivore Diet: The Fiber Fantasy."
Okay guys, this is Dr. Sean Baker coming back with some more information on the carnivorous diet. I'll answer a few questions. One thing I want to talk about is fiber. We've been told that fiber is necessary for both digestion and for our overall health.
Oh gee, I wonder why that would fucking be, Sean. Maybe because it is? Maybe because there's been very good research, longitudinal studies, where they found that children who eat higher fiber diets end up being less likely to develop heart disease or diabetes later in life. Yeah, maybe because people who eat low fiber diets tend to get fucking constipated. Maybe because people who eat low fiber diets tend to have higher risk of diabetes and heart disease, you fucking retard. This is one of the dudes who promotes, like, grain-free, you know, he's like one of those, gluten fucking idiots who says gluten is the fucking devil. Very recent study came out, I think it was 2016 or 2017, where they found people who eat gluten-free diets are more likely to develop fucking diabetes. So, what the fuck does that tell you, Sean? People who avoid fiber end up getting diabetes.
I'm going to tell you that I think that's basically not true. And we've got a number of things that support that. The main thing is that, you know, fiber, we've been told, is important for digestive health.
Oh, that's because it is. People who eat low fiber diets tend to get constipated more often. Again, vegans, lowest rate of constipation. Like, I know every fucking low carb idiot brings up, what about the Eskimos? Constipation is so fucking common among the Eskimos that they have a god named the Fart Man who kills you by giving you constipation. So, constipation is so culturally relevant for them that they actually have a god. They made up a god that causes constipation. So yeah, retard.
There's been a number of studies that have shown that people that reduce their fiber actually note a decrease in constipation. There's been a study by Dr. Peary, P-E-E-R-Y.
Wait, let's go back there.
Who actually note a decrease in studies have shown that people that reduce their fiber actually note a decrease in constipation. There's been a study by Dr. Peary, P-E-E-R-Y, who noted that there was a dramatic reduction.
Constipation and a low-fiber diet are not associated with diverticulitis. Asymptomatic diverticulosis is commonly attributed to constipation, secondary to low-fiber diet. Although evidence for this mechanism is limited, we examine associations between constipation, low dietary fiber intake, with risk of asymptomatic diverticulosis. Okay, so this was published in 2013. I'm not going to read the whole text. Constipation was not associated with an increased risk of diverticulosis. Okay, so apparently constipation doesn't, at least isn't associated with diverticulosis. Participants with less frequent bowel movements had reduced odds of diverticulosis compared to those with regular bowel movements. Those reporting hard stools also had reduced odds. There was no association between diverticulosis and straining or incomplete bowel movements. We found no association between dietary fiber intake and diverticulosis in comparing the highest quartile to the lowest. In our cross-sectional colonoscopy-based study, neither constipation nor a low-fiber diet was associated with an increased risk of diverticulosis. Okay, that's weird. In the results there, it didn't actually say that low-fiber diets were associated with constipation or not. That wasn't actually mentioned. So, like, let's see. We found no difference between the cases and the controls in mean dietary fiber intake. No difference between the cases and the controls in a reported supplemental fiber intake. Found no association between dietary fiber intake and diverticulosis. This doesn't seem to really deal with constipation. No, this doesn't have anything to do with constipation. Bowel habits, dietary fiber intake, and the risk of asymptomatic diverticulosis. We found that less frequent bowel movements and hard lumpy stools were associated with a decreased risk of diverticulosis. Classic symptoms of constipation, straining during bowel movements, or a feeling of incomplete bowel movements were unassociated with diverticulosis. This doesn't have really anything to do with constipation and fiber. This has to do with fiber, constipation, and diverticulosis. So this guy is misrepresenting the research. Like, this study didn't focus on whether or not fiber had something to do with constipation. He was trying to find an association between fiber, constipation, and diverticulosis. So what the fuck is Sean Baker talking about here? This guy's insane.
The number of diverticula seen on colonoscopy in people that followed a low-fiber diet. So the people with the highest amount of fiber had the greatest amount of diverticula in his particular study.
People with the highest amount of fiber had the highest amount of diverticulosis. Let's see. We found no difference between the cases and the controls in mean dietary fiber intake and reported supplemental fiber. Correspondingly, we found no association between dietary fiber intake and diverticulosis when comparing the highest quartile of fiber intake to the lowest. We also found no association between dietary fiber intake by subtype and the presence of diverticulosis. So this right here says there's no association between diverticulosis and fiber intake, but then ex-doctor Sean Baker is saying, yeah, this study, it actually found an association between diverticulosis and fiber intake. No, it didn't. It says right fucking here. Did you fucking read this, you fucking retard?
I've linked
This guy used to be an actual medical doctor, by the way. Wow. This dude cannot fucking read. He clearly lost his medical license for a fucking reason. That's really fucking bizarre. This guy's a fucking idiot.
a website called highstakes.com with a synopsis of quite a few studies on fiber and showing how truly it's actually unnecessary. Some of the beliefs about fiber are that it can help with decreasing blood glucose spikes, and that is actually true. If you eat
Okay, so yes, fiber does reduce blood glucose spikes. wouldn't that be a good thing, Sean? Like, I mean, you're this guy talks about how sugar is so terrible, how it increases, your blood glucose way too high. Well, here's something that controls your blood sugar, and you're saying we shouldn't eat any fiber. Let's just all eat nothing but steak. Just so fucking retarded. Hey Richard, what is your daily calories and macros? So right now I'm eating 2,500 calories a day. I think my total protein intake is 150. That's lower than I'd like it to be, but Jasmine was complaining that I'd start farting a lot, and my farts were really smelly when I'd add in an extra, like, protein supplement. Like, at night, I just take a serving of pea protein and just drink it, and that would make me fart like crazy. When I have it in a bowl of oatmeal like this, it doesn't make me fart like crazy. So I stopped doing that, and my protein intake per day was 180, 180 grams per day, but now it's 150. That doesn't seem to have really done anything. Like, I'm still building muscle, so that's not too big of a deal. So yeah, total protein is 150 grams. My fat intake is insanely, ridiculously low. The only overt fat source I have is 1 tablespoon of avocado oil, and I'm just having that just so I have some amount of fat in my diet. I also do take algae DHA supplements every day just to get my omega-3s. It's insanely low. I think it's less than, let me just check for you. Chronometer, add food. I just want to see what 1 tablespoon has. Yeah, so over the entire course of the day, I have less than 20 grams of fat per day. It's very, very low. The avocado oil is the only overt fat source. The only other fatty kind of food, quote unquote, is oatmeal and hemp protein, and that's it. And those are very low in fat. So the reason I'm doing that is because low-fat diets are much more metabolically efficient for losing weight. The problem is, when your fat is that low, it's very easy to become depressed, and I have had really bad issues with depression lately. I just have no fucking mood. I'm like a zombie, and I just feel like dying. That's the biggest issue, but hopefully I only have to diet for another 2-3 weeks. I just weighed myself this morning. I'm 224, which was my lowest weigh-in last week. I did take 2 days off of the diet just because I was feeling really, really terrible, and I thought it was a good idea to just take a 2-day break. But by the end of this week, I'm aiming to get down to 220, and then hopefully over the next 2 weeks I can get down to 215. So we'll see. And the rest of my diet is just carbohydrates. So that's my basic macronutrient breakdown. Chris Bell from Bigger, Stronger, Faster is trying a carnivorous diet. Okay, I'll look into that. I know his retarded brother Mark Bell is doing that whole ketogenic thing. It's funny. Mark is talking about how he wants to prevent or cure diabetes, and then he's having fucking chicken wings wrapped in bacon. Are you fucking insane? I can't get my farting under control, eating whole foods mainly. Wife laughs now, they get used to it. Um, I found usually the farting is from not taking in enough good fats. You should try adding just like half a tablespoon or a tablespoon of like avocado oil or olive oil. Like usually I don't recommend oils or coconut, not coconut, or olive oil. It's not great for its omega-3 to 6 ratio, but it does reduce farting. So I'd recommend trying avocado oil because it does have a good ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fats. It's also been proven to reduce small dense LDL particles quite significantly. So try, like, if you're gonna have a normal meal, say like, I don't know, lentils with some rice or potatoes, something like that. Uh, okay, you eat an entire avocado every day. Okay, well, I'd still try adding like a bit of that oil to your meals. I think that would probably help. Are cold pressed oils a lot better? I'd say so, yes. When oils are processed at a very high heat, it can modify the oil into sort of a hydrogenated fat, and of course, hydrogenated fats are really bad. They're trans fats, so it's good to avoid oils that are processed at a high temperature. Avocado oil is probably one of the best oils, especially for cooking, because it has a very, very high smoke point. A lot of people cook with coconut oil. It has actually a pretty low smoke point. It's not very good. But avocado oil, very high smoke point. It's a bit more stable. So if you do have to cook with an oil, you should try avocado oil. If your local McDonald's made a vegan burger, would you try it? No. Um, I just hate the company, and those vegan burgers are going to be cooked with all the greasy, fatty, normal burgers, and then all that disgusting meat grease is going to end up on my burger. I wouldn't want to do that. Avocados are so good, but so expensive in this meat crazy country called South Korea, but I try to get them at any chance. Huh. How expensive are avocados in South Korea? Like how, I know you use a different currency there, but like in American dollars, what would that translate to? Like say per avocado. I think I can get a bag of avocados for like maybe $5 at Costco, and that's $5 Canadian, and it's probably like, yeah, maybe around 5 or 6 avocados, so it'd be about $1 each, which isn't too bad really, because you don't eat a lot of avocados. If that were like apples or something, then that would be expensive.
You know, an apple, and it's got a lot of fiber in there, you're going to get less of a blood sugar response initially than you are if you were to drink straight apple juice. In the context of a carnivorous diet, that is not even an issue because you're not taking in any sugar anyway. So that...
He has this idea that he seems to be one of those people with the backwards thinking that high blood sugar itself causes diabetes or something. No, eating a high saturated fat and cholesterol diet is what causes diabetes, and the result of that is high blood sugar. So it's just a backwards kind of thinking, And like Sean, like look at the latest meat and mortality studies from Harvard. Red meat consumption is associated with increased mortality and increased risk of all-cause mortality, and that's both fresh and processed meat. Also, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation did a huge study where they found the #1 cause of diet-related death was not eating enough fruit. So, what does that fucking tell you, dipshit?
It becomes kind of a moot point. The other thing people talk about is the fact that some types of fiber, particularly insoluble fiber, has been known to potentially decrease cholesterol, and there's been a small effect noted with that, and that is also likely or possibly true.
This guy is retarded. Yeah, fiber reduces cholesterol. That's a well-known fucking fact. I don't know why he's saying it's probably true. I don't know if he's going to keep talking about this. This is the first time looking through this video, but if you're going to claim reducing serum cholesterol is a good thing, then, you know, meat raises cholesterol, and you eat nothing but meat.
The problem with that is we were discovering that cholesterol is largely meaningless. I'll go into that in a different video, but
so we already know that atherosclerosis progresses once your LDL cholesterol goes above 70 milligrams per deciliter, or your total score goes above 140. We know the higher your cholesterol is, the faster atherosclerosis progresses. And on top of that, we've actually been able to demonstrate that cholesterol itself, not other dietary lifestyle factors, but cholesterol itself is what triggers atherosclerosis, by studying people with genetic mutations who have genetically low cholesterol scores. So just by having genetically lower cholesterol, that protects you against heart disease. So, and that's regardless of diet, exercise, or lifestyle. Just having lower cholesterol in your blood due to genetic factors protects you from heart disease. So, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, cholesterol doesn't do anything, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect heart disease. Yeah, it fucking does. Very clearly does. And, again, vegans, which are the diet group who eat the least amount, or eat zero cholesterol, I guess that would be the least amount, but they eat zero cholesterol, and they typically have lower intakes of saturated fat. They have the lowest overall risk of heart disease, particularly ischemic heart disease, which is the clogging of your arteries. So, how the fuck do you explain any of this? You can't even read a fucking research paper. Like, how do you read this and gather from it, fiber causes diverticulosis and constipation, when the study had nothing to do with this? The study was just trying to find an association between constipation and diverticulosis, or diverticulitis, or no, diverticulosis, constipation and diverticulosis, or fiber intake and diverticulosis. It didn't deal with fiber intake and constipation. Like, this guy is just such a fucking idiot. Like, you literally can't fucking read. You can't even tilt your phone on its side to take a proper fucking video. Holy shit. Avocados are $4 to $5 each in South Korea. That is crazy. Do you have any tips for cutting out refined sugar? I'm trying to cut down on chocolate, but it's hard to get over the cravings. Well, what I like to do is, like, I have chocolate milk in my oats in the morning, and that like satisfies me. I think it tastes good.
It doesn't work for me.
it doesn't work for Jasmine, but for me, putting chocolate milk in my oatmeal with some protein powder, that tastes really good to me. That might be an option for you. If you really want to cut down on sugar, but you still want chocolate, you could just get some like soy milk or almond milk, pour it in a bunch of oats, and just mix in some cacao powder. And that might satisfy your chocolate cravings. It might. It's not going to be nearly as sweet as actual chocolate, but
if you're like me,
it's a better.
Gonna be able to stand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a better alternative. Really, when it comes to any kind of craving, it's just a matter of like willpower. It takes about a week or two to get over cravings, and if you can just stick with something for a week or two, you just get over the hump, and then you don't have any issues with cravings. So, like, just stop eating chocolate. It'll be hard for maybe a week or two, but then after that, you won't have any issues. How much water do you drink? I don't know. Well, yeah, I wasn't drinking enough before. Now, I think I'm drinking enough. I drink before every meal. Like, I think this is 750 milliliters. And in between meals, I have a bottle like this. So I don't know what that would totally add up to per day, but I think you should have like a large glass of water before a meal and then a large glass of water like in between your meals. And then you usually end up consuming a fair bit of water. What's the mineral density percentage for steel cut oats versus quick oats? I'm not sure. You have to look that up on like Chronometer. Steel cut, it is more nutritionally dense because it's being less processed, but they also take way fucking longer to cook. I know some people complain that they have more digestive issues with steel cut oats. And I find they don't taste as good and they're not as filling, so I just stick with quick oats. I would love to see you stream video games. That is coming soon. I am going. Yeah, well, it's coming soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Richard, have you ever had elbow tendonitis? Yes, I have. When I was, I think it might have been when I was so young I was still playing hockey. It was either when I was still playing hockey or it was when I started weight training in high school. I can't remember. But I know I did have elbow tendonitis, and it was really just a matter of not working out for a while with my elbow. Like just avoiding exercises that aggravated my elbow, and then it eventually went away.
Cholesterol levels can be changed just in a matter of a couple of days. A guy named Dave Feldman has just shown that he can change his cholesterol by over 100 points in as little as a week just by subtle changes in the diet.
What? Yeah, your cholesterol levels change depending on what you eat. What the fuck is your point? So, because you can change your cholesterol score by making changes to your diet, therefore cholesterol has nothing to do with heart disease. What the fuck are you talking about? Again, as I just mentioned, if you can keep your cholesterol score below 70 or your total below 140, no evidence that atherosclerosis can occur. This guy just makes statements without showing any fucking research whatsoever. Like, he literally just, like, made a personal anecdote. I know some guy, something Feldman, he did this diet thing and he showed, like, your cholesterol goes up and down. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And the one study you referenced so far, you misinterpreted. You don't know how to fucking read. Oh, man.
So the fact that we tie all this predictive power into what your cholesterol is actually quite absurd, and it's been it's caused a great deal of harm to many people, and that's.
You are so fucking retarded, it's beyond belief. Let's see. PCSK9 gene mutations, risk of CHD. Let's see. LDL receptor polymorphisms and risk of coronary heart disease. I just want to get to the results. Okay, I'll just go to one of my videos where I reference the study. I can't remember the exact name of the study right now. I think I would have done it in this video. No, it wouldn't have been that one. Just give me a second here. Oh. There we are. Sequence variations in the PCSK9 gene, low LDL, and protection against coronary heart disease. So, of the 3,363 black subjects examined, 2.6% had nonsense mutations in PCSK9. These mutations were associated with a 28% reduction in mean LDL cholesterol and an 88% reduction in risk of coronary heart disease. So a 28% drop in cholesterol gives you an 88% reduction in risk of coronary heart disease. They also found in white subjects a 15% reduction in LDL cholesterol was associated with a 47% reduction in risk of coronary heart disease. So right here you can see that the risk of heart disease, the association between your cholesterol score and risk of heart disease is linear. So the lower your cholesterol is, the lower your heart disease risk is. So, like, again, what the fuck are you talking about, Sean? Oh wait, that's the wrong video. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Sean? You are just so stupid. You say absolute fucking nonsense. Like, again, show me the fucking research, dipshit.
Yeah.
You know what? I should actually challenge this asshole to a fucking live debate.
You know,
I think
more
I'm
and more
gonna do
people
that.
that are interested in this, and the good thing is more and more people are finding that.
The problem with that is the fucking idiot clearly doesn't know how to use a fucking computer. He can't even tilt his fucking phone into landscape mode to shoot a proper fucking video, so I don't know how useful that would be, challenging him to a debate.
It is significantly improving their health, and that's what the bottom line, what counts. All right, guys, so fiber, it's really a fantasy that we need that. It definitely is, you know, prior to the early 1900s, we didn't eat very much fiber anyway. It's
Prior to the 1900s, we didn't eat that much fiber anyway. Again, what in the motherfuck are you talking about? Like,
something that the cereal...
wheat has always been, like, for a long time, wheat and corn have been, and potatoes have been dietary staples for most of the human race. In other parts of the world you have like rice, oats, barley, shit like that. But these are all high carbohydrate, high fiber foods. Wheat, corn, oats, barley, potatoes. And beans, lentils in some places. Like, what are you talking about? Prior to the 1900s, we didn't eat much fiber. Who? Where? Like, you're acting as if the entire human race has eaten the same fucking diet. It's just so stupid.
Oil companies discovered that they could sell this agricultural byproduct to us, and then we started promoting this high fiber diet.
What? Oh my god, oh shit. So once companies found out that they could make fiber supplements, that's when people got the idea that we should eat high fiber diets? Are you fucking stupid? That is just... What? Who's making a killing off of selling broccoli?
Hey, Richard, can you stop yelling?
This guy just pisses me off so fucking much. Companies are making money by selling high fiber diets. Okay, well, you can't sell a diet, you can sell food. But you really think, what, the apple industry or the potato industry or the broccoli industry has made this conspiracy where they all colluded together to, you know, publish false research that fiber's good for you? All these people have these ridiculous fucking conspiracy theories. You're just fucking crazy and stupid.
It's cheap, you know, cheap to obtain material. They actually literally put sawdust in some of the processed foods there. These people do this stuff not because they care about your health. It's because they can make a profit off of cheap food that you can't even digest, and they try to explain it as something that's healthy when it's actually not. It is not needed. It's 100% not necessary.
Yeah, fiber isn't necessary, but if you want to take normal shits, then yeah, it's kind of necessary. If you want to avoid diabetes and heart disease as much as possible, then yeah, fiber's kind of necessary.
You know, the only thing it may be beneficial for is displacing sugar and other garbage out of your diet. Beyond that, you don't need fiber.
Okay, well, that's factually incorrect. Yeah, fiber has been proven to reduce risk of diabetes, heart disease, and certain forms of cancer, so you're fucking stupid. Let's see. Is Sean Baker on Twitter? Lawrence Neal, Sean Baker... Okay, that's a different thing. Maybe it's a different thing. Dr. Sean Baker. That doesn't seem like him. No. No. Okay, it doesn't look like he's on Twitter, but I'll see if I can get a way to contact him. At what age did you start playing hockey, and when did you quit? I was playing hockey at a really young age. I think I started at around 5 or 6 years old, and I quit pretty much right before high school, like at around 13, I think. And then I ended up going into competitive swimming, and that was fucking terrible. But yeah, I quit at 13 just because I had really bad Osgood Schlatters. And Osgood Schlatters is when your bones grow too quickly, and then your tendons in your knee don't grow fast enough, and then it your tendon literally pulls at the growth plate at your knee, and it hurts like fuck. So then I just couldn't play. For blood tests, what should I ask to be specifically tested? Total cholesterol, HDL, LDL. Well, if there's any like particular concerns that you have, I'd say get your vitamin D levels checked, B12, iron, zinc. Those would probably be the main ones. Yeah, like other than that, for most people, just a normal standard blood test is fine. Just check your vitamin and minerals and your LDL total and HDL. I think, iron usually isn't a problem for vegans, but, just to be safe, I'd say get your iron checked. A lot of vegans do have an issue with zinc, so I do think zinc is important to get tested. And most people just are vitamin D deficient, so, especially if you live up north, like where I do, where it's, winter half the year. It's good to get your vitamin D levels checked, whether you're vegan or not. Those are the ones that I'd be particularly concerned with. Are you gonna make a video debunking the ketogenic diet soon? It's scary how popular it has become. I'm gonna make a few more ketogenic videos. I wanted to make a few videos that directly relate to my weight loss series. So I wanted to talk about how, why ketogenic diets aren't ideal for weight loss, particularly in, a bodybuilding context, because an actual ketogenic diet is very low in protein. So, if you're dieting, a low protein diet obviously isn't ideal. You actually want to have a higher protein intake than you would normally while dieting, because reducing your calories makes it harder to maintain a positive nitrogen balance. So, for that reason alone, it's just fucking stupid to use a ketogenic diet, at least for long durations of time while you're dieting, and you're a bodybuilder, quote unquote, or a professional toner. You just want to build a lot of muscle to look good, or if you're a power lifter, something like that. Maybe you are in a strength sport. So a ketogenic diet would be stupid. The only time I'd think it would be useful in any meaningful practical way is maybe if you're having really bad issues with diet adherence, then maybe a ketogenic diet could help you there. If you're a bodybuilder, maybe the last week or two of your competition prep, maybe it would help you, because it does reduce water weight, but also I'd imagine in the last 2 weeks of your prep, you would have issues with diet adherence, so maybe it would help you, but it's a big maybe, because again, all these dudes who are promoting ketogenic diets, these fitness YouTubers, most of them are on steroids, and steroids stimulate your nervous system, especially compounds like trenbolone. So these dudes don't have to worry about having low energy and not being able to train properly when they're not eating any carbs, because these fucking drugs they're on give them a ton of energy and it stimulates their fucking nervous system. So I don't think ketogenic diets, especially for natural lifters, are all that useful. And also with low carb diets, carbohydrates themselves help to reduce protein loss in your muscles when you're dieting. So again, it's already you're already at a disadvantage for muscle building while you're dieting because it's harder to maintain a positive nitrogen balance. But then you're going to remove carbs from your diet, which actually help to reduce protein loss. And on top of that, you know, with a ketogenic diet, you can't even eat much protein. So it's just fucking ridiculous. I don't know why there's this whole ketogenic, you know, diet thing when it's just dumb and useless for, at least for most people. Richard, in some live streams of yours, you wanted to know the name of a Greek philosopher who argued for atheism. His name was Epicurus. I think that's how you pronounce it, Epicurus. Yes. Didn't I search him? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I, like, spelt his name wrong. I think I did search him, but I might have spelt his name wrong or something. Watch the video by Kenberry MD. Kenberry MD. Oh, I actually saw a bit of this before I did the stream. I noticed it in the corner. He's not actually trying to claim the ketogenic diet is bad. This guy is just really stupid. Let's see if he has 18,000 subs. I might take a look at this asshole and do a refutation. There's a lot of these dumbasses.
White Watcher.
Like, this guy doesn't even have a fucking chin. So, I don't know. These low-carb guys are fucking stupid. Triglycerides, what should these be? Thanks, Vegan Gains. I think the reference range for triglycerides is something like 100 to 200 milligrams per deciliter, something like that. Let's see. Normal reference range triglycerides. Okay, so high is considered 200 to 499 milligrams per deciliter. Borderline high is 150 to 199. Normal is less than 150. I'd say ideally you want to have your triglycerides below 100 milligrams per deciliter. So I'd aim for that. There are, like, if you exercise regularly and you have like a normal balanced vegan diet, generally triglycerides are pretty low, like under 100 milligrams per deciliter. There are some people who have issues with triglycerides though. Some people, for whatever reason, they like hyper respond to any form of sugar, even if it's like good fruit sugar, and it spikes their triglycerides through the roof. You just have to keep an eye on that. Like, different people kind of respond differently to certain types of things. I know consuming like good fats can lower your triglycerides. So like nuts, seeds, avocados, if you have a normal intake of fat, like say 20% of your total calories come from fat, then that also helps to keep your triglycerides under control. But yeah, like, I mean, if you have a normal balanced diet, you exercise every day, you know, you're eating vegan, but you're also getting in enough healthy fats, so 20% of your calories, you shouldn't really have a problem with triglycerides. But yeah, like, it's good to get it checked. But why do people report to feel super good and have very high energy in keto diets, typically animal-based? Okay, so for every person who says they feel amazing and have a ton of energy on a ketogenic diet, there's like 10 people who fucking hate it. Like, there's, like, you only usually end up hearing the good side of things when it comes to dieting, so that would probably be a big part of it. The ketone bodies that are produced when you're in an actual ketogenic state, some people like do have more energy from ketones and they just feel better when, you know, their brain is running on ketones than on carbohydrates. Like, again, that's just an individual thing. So yeah, like, I mean, some people feel better, but I'm pretty damn sure for every person who says, I feel so much better. Hey, Jasmine.
What?
Is that your phone?
What?
Is that your phone that just went off? Like, for every person who says they feel amazing on a keto diet, there's like 10 people who say they feel like shit. What else was...
Your uncle again?
Oh. I think he left me a message saying that I have another letter. But, yeah, I mean, I think, too, like, it's a temporary high as well. I know when I start dieting, like, just, like, even when I diet very aggressively, like, initially, for whatever reason, you just feel better. I mean, like, you lose a bit of weight, you're still in a positive kind of mood, and you just feel slightly better because, I don't know, you clean up your diet, you lost a bit of excess weight, so you just move around easier. So I think it's kind of a temporary high when these people say, oh, I tried keto and I feel so great. I think a lot of the times it is just a temporary high, and then after a few weeks or a few months, it starts to go downhill. And I think that's also why, like, these keto diets fluctuate in popularity. Like, nobody talks about them, and then everyone talks about them all of a sudden again, and then after a few months it dies down. I think that's because people try it, and then initially they feel good, and then a few months later they hate it, and then the cycle goes back and continues. Okay, carnivore diet, where do I get my vitamin C? Let's listen to this one.
Okay, I'm back with some more information about the carnivorous diet. One of the topics that often comes up is, where do you get your vitamin C from? I've included a link with a very lengthy discussion on the topic, a very nice interview and podcast done by Amber O'Hearn, who's done quite a bit of research into this question. Vitamin C, as we know, is essential for hydroxylating certain amino acids to help build collagen, and has a number of different functions in the body as far as antioxidant capacity. The major thing that we see is...
I want to stop him there. Like, it's interesting how he talked about antioxidant capacity. Humans aren't particularly good at producing their own antioxidants, our own antioxidants. If we didn't produce any, we'd all immediately get cancer and die. So our body does produce, you know, our own antioxidants, but if you can consume antioxidants, you can significantly increase your antioxidant capacity and thus, like, decrease risk of cancers, certain inflammatory conditions. So he's basically saying, yeah, you know, like, these things like fruit, they're really high in antioxidants, but don't eat those. For what fucking reason?
Supplementation in general, I tend to think that in most cases it's not necessary, particularly long term. Some people will have underlying nutrient deficiencies, people with things like gastric bypass disorders will chronically need to supplement just because they can't absorb things. There's some other gastrointestinal issues where that may be a problem as well. One thing people say is they find that they wouldn't be able to give up certain foods, and that's fine. I'm not recommending everyone do this. I think if you're concerned about your health and you want to find a way to perhaps sort out what in your diet is causing those issues, is an excellent way to do it. Many people that do this, feel so good they just continue. But not everybody does that. I think one of the things that we have to realize is we have a lot of food choices these days. Most of the food, and probably 99% of the food that we now have available to us, didn't even exist, several thousand years ago. And so,
you eat practically nothing but steak. Do you honestly think humans thousands of years ago ate nothing but domesticated cow? No, they fucking didn't, because domesticated cows didn't exist that long ago. So you're fucking stupid right there. It's like the people who only or like virtually only eat animal products, like they're very few and far between, and you're talking about very small populations of people, like the Eskimos. What is it? There's that African tribe. I can't remember the fucking name. The MkAY, and I think they mostly drink cow's milk and cow's blood. But they're very, very small populations. Like the majority of the human race has eaten a varied diet. Like, why the fuck would a human just choose to only eat one food? Like, steak. Like, the only thing you're eating right now. It's just stupid. Like, we're opportunistic eaters. Food scarcity has always been an issue because of environmental factors, changing climate. We also didn't always have agriculture, so again, food availability was a bigger issue. We had to scavenge for food. Like, it's just so retarded to think that a human would, like, if they see, like, perfectly edible vegetables or fruit on the ground, that we wouldn't eat it. Like, it's just so stupid. It's just the dumbest idea.
So this sort of food variety and the idea that you couldn't live life without all these different selections of 25 different flavored potato chips and 13 different flavors of water, it just didn't even exist that long ago. And so if you look at it on an evolutionary time scale, most humans or human predecessors just didn't have much variety. I mean, they ate probably just a couple items.
Again, this is just complete nonsense. We're opportunistic eaters. Whatever's available to us, we ate. That would have included fruits, vegetables, whatever flesh we could get a hold of. So muscle tissue, organ meats, bone marrow, crap like tongue, connective tissue, insects, which strangely enough you don't eat. Gee, I wonder why you don't eat any insects. Do you honestly think proto-humans were above eating insects? Again, just totally retarded.
And one of those is probably, in fact, most of it was probably meat-based. So anyway, continue to send your...
By the way, there have been a few recent studies that have shown, at least in some areas of the world, like a typical Paleolithic diet was extremely high in fiber. So again, mostly meat-based. No, they've even found a sample of Neanderthal poop, and again, very high in fiber.
Questions in. I'll check these time to time and try to put up videos on a little more regular basis. Hopefully I can improve the production quality as I get set up for that stuff.
Improve the production quality. Oh, gee. Yeah, Yeah, there. There. Do that. Improve the production quality, please. God, he's so stupid. He's lying about not supplementing vitamin C. He would die. He's not even eating any organ meats. This guy seems mentally ill. If he's not eating any organ meats and he's not supplementing or eating certain foods that have a significant vitamin C content, then he'd get scurvy. Like, I think he made a follow-up to this. Another vitamin C video. Carnivore diet part 2. Where do I get my vitamin C? Okay, no. That was... Yeah, that's the one we just watched. Yeah, so... This guy is just fucking crazy. What, in the 2 videos we just watched, he only referenced one study and he couldn't even read it? So this guy seems like he's totally insane. Like, just the mindset you'd have to say, you know, I'm getting old, like, I'm getting 40, I'm overweight, I'm not in shape like I used to be. You know, maybe it's my diet that's the problem. I'm gonna start cleaning up my diet and eat healthy. Yeah, I'm only gonna eat steak from now on. No fruits or vegetables. You have to be a bit fucking crazy. So, yeah, this dude isn't eating what he's saying he's eating. I think he's taking, like, a vitamin C supplement or some kind of multivitamin, or eating some kind of food that has vitamin C. Like, I've seen people who have weird eating disorders where they could swear to you, and they're not lying, that they eat a certain amount of food or they think they're not eating any junk food. And then it turns out they are eating way more food than they think they are, and they are eating junk food. Just their mind plays tricks with them. I think that's what's happening with this guy. Man, his hair in this thumbnail. Let's look at this one. What the fuck? He doesn't look well to me. Like, I know he's an older dude, so he's not gonna look great, but he just doesn't seem well. So, I don't know. Let's watch some of this Joe Rogan experience with this retard Nina Teckholtz. Nina Teckholtz is an investigative journalist and author of The Big Fat Surprise: Why Butter, Meat, and Cheese Belong in a Healthy Diet. Okay, so she's a journalist, not a dietitian, so she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. Let's just do a quick Google search of this woman. So apparently she's written for Gourmet Magazine, The New Yorker, The Economist, The New York Times, and Washington Post. So she is actually a professional journalist. So, yeah, I don't know why anyone's listening to this stupid woman who's just a journalist. What's your Twitter? Interesting, and maybe a clue why people tend to overeat more on carbohydrates but not so much on foods with fat protein. What are you talking about? How many obese people are on a low-fat diet? Like, what, there's the Epic Panacea study. Meat eating was associated with, like, increased risk of weight gain, obesity. Carbohydrates weren't. Like, again, the only diet group that is within the healthy BMI range are vegans. Like, are we eating, like, very high protein and fat foods and, like, no carbohydrates? I don't fucking think so. This bitch is just stupid. Have you done research on selective androgen receptor modulators? As far as I know, there isn't any human research on these things. Let's actually look on PubMed. USDA has an article on these. Let's see. As far as I know, there isn't any human research. Yeah, this all seems to deal with this all seems to do with either anti-doping or there are some rodent studies, but as far as I know, there haven't been any human studies on it, so I haven't really researched it. Sverige claims that scurvy is from a lack of protein and not vitamin C. That is, again, absolutely retarded. Then Sverige, like, why didn't, like, 18th century sailors just eat more meat and that cured their scurvy? Why did eating limes and kiwis cure scurvy? Like, as far as I know, those aren't very high protein foods. So this is just stupid.
Three, 2, 1. Teichholz. I say it right?
That's it.
What's
Got
up,
it.
Nina? How are you?
Hi. It's good
Welcome.
to be here.
Thanks
you.
for doing this. Appreciate it.
It's good to be here. Thanks.
So, a big fat surprise. What's the big fat surprise?
That butter, meat, and cheese do not cause heart disease.
Yes they do, you stupid fucking retarded bitch. I wish I could fucking slap you. Again, vegans, lowest risk of heart disease, diabetes, cancer. What, saturated fat, cholesterol, it's been absolutely proven that it raises your serum cholesterol. And the higher your serum cholesterol, the higher risk of heart disease. Like, it is just so fucking basic. It's just a headache having to repeat this over and over again, and then people still don't listen.
That saturated fat doesn't cause heart disease.
Yeah, it does. It raises your cholesterol, and if you have an increase in cholesterol, and if it's above, and if you raise your cholesterol high enough above 70 milligrams per deciliter for LDL and 140 for total, you're going to cause the progression of atherosclerosis. Like, it's very difficult to get your cholesterol that low. Well, it's not too difficult, but the thing is, you can't really eat much, if any, animal products to get your cholesterol that low, so you're an idiot.
That fat doesn't make you fat. That the low-fat diet doesn't make you healthy.
Okay, well, fat doesn't make you fat, low-fat diet doesn't make you healthy. Like, that's really just a word games.
That's my book.
Yeah, that's very controversial. Pull this sucker
Like,
up real
sugar
close to
is
you.
low fat.
There we go.
Right there.
Yeah,
Eating nothing
perfect.
but sugar
Beautiful.
doesn't make you healthy. Okay.
Very controversial in this day and age.
It was even more controversial when the book came out, which was in 2014. But, you know, we've seen an almost complete sea change on this subject. Not at the expert level, but, you know, there's a real groundswell in a change of thinking. I think in part really triggered by my book, which really...
Oh, don't fucking flatter yourself. I've never heard of your stupid piece of shit book, The Big Fat Surprise. People, like, there's this whole low-carb fucking diet fad. It's been going on for fucking decades. It's nothing fucking new. It just goes on a repeating cycle. It's just a new fucking fad every few years, and your stupid fucking book is one of them.
laid out all the arguments for how do we come to believe that saturated fat is bad for health? Why do we believe animal fats are bad? Why do
I don't know, maybe because of decades of fucking research.
why do we believe they cause heart disease?
Because
and really
there's
tells that
research
whole
proving
story
it.
of how we started down this path, believing that fat and cholesterol cause heart disease, make you
Yeah,
sick,
that's because
cause
there's research
cancer,
proving that,
make you
stupid
fat.
fucking idiot.
And it's a wild story. It's just an incredible story. The politics, the personalities. It really is a story more about politics.
Oh, yes. Oh, I know this fucking story. She's gonna start talking about Ansel Keys and the whole fucking sugar conspiracy theory. Look, even if you can prove that like all these researchers back in the 50s and 60s were paid off by the sugar industry. That's still entirely speculation, and I can't remember what kind of fallacy that would fall under, but just because you can find, like, just because you can say, okay, well, sugar is bad for you, that doesn't absolve saturated fat from being unhealthy. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. If you're going to make a case that saturated fat is actually good for you, then you're going to have to, like, actually demonstrate that with research. You can't just say, oh, well, there's sugar industry bias here, and here's all this research showing sugar's bad for you. That doesn't actually prove that saturated fat and cholesterol don't cause heart disease. It's just a diversionary tactic. Just horseshit.
Politics than about science.
Did you feel vindicated when that New York Times article came out where it showed that the sugar industry had bribed these scientists to lie about data and falsify?
This happened over 60 years ago. You honestly don't think there's been heart disease research since then? Like, is all fucking heart disease research funded by the sugar industry? Like, you're just a fucking stupid bitch.
Data that showed that saturated fat was the cause of heart disease instead of sugar? Because that was fairly...
Look up her EDU on LinkedIn. Nina Kultz. Founder and board president at the Nutrition Coalition. I don't know. I guess this is just a career move for her. The Big Fat Surprise, which The Economist named as the #1 science book of 2014. Oh, God. Didn't she used to write for The Economist? Nina Teckholtz. Yeah, she used to write for The Economist. So that's actually, yeah, that's actually a funny thing. So she used to work for a magazine, and then that magazine that she worked for promoted her book. So, there's a fucking conspiracy there for you.
Really recently, right? It was after your book.
That was. And, you know, that's a small part of the story. I mean, I have documents in my book. There's maybe 100 different, you know, documents that you can find where companies are trying to sway the interests of, they're trying to pay off scientists, basically. There's so much money going into nutrition science. It's amazing how little people know about how much nutrition science is funded by the food industry. And that was one small example. Where Harvard scientists had received...
So, only the sugar industry does this, apparently. Meat, dairy, and egg industry, they don't pay off researchers. Like, what?
Money from the sugar industry, and what this article contended is that that's what pushed them to blame fat and not sugar for heart disease. I actually don't believe that that's what happened in that particular case for those Harvard scientists in the 1950s, because I studied them extensively. You know, for my book, I read it took me 9 years, and I read 10,000 scientific papers. So I knew the work of those Harvard scientists.
You didn't read that much. You're just saying that if you read that much literature, you wouldn't be this fucking ignorant.
I knew everything they had written. One of them is named Mark Hegsted, who is very influential. And the reality for him and his colleagues was that they truly 100% believe that fat and saturated fat and cholesterol cause heart disease.
Yeah, that's because that's what the research... Like, again, if you actually read Mark Hegsted's papers, then you'd understand this. Like, he even made the famous Hegsted equation, where you could actually predict the increase in cholesterol from, in serum cholesterol from an increase in dietary saturated fat. Like, what the fuck? You didn't read this crap. You're just a fucking liar.
Really? And they had believed it. They had believed it for more than a decade before the sugar industry came along with that proposition for them. They really believed. Those early scientists were true.
I love how she keeps saying believed. They truly believed it. Like, yeah, maybe that's because the research they were conducting proved that. You fucking dumb, retarded bitch.
They were not corrupt. They were actually not corrupted by industry. They were true believers, and one of the things...
Oh, fuck, true believers. Yeah, here we go. What is this? Yeah, I'd say this is like a poisoning of the well. She's just so fucking dishonest.
That my book explores is this phenomenon that happened then, happens today, where scientists, they come to fall in love with their beliefs. You know, they fall in love with their own...
Oh, yeah, sure. Again, you are poisoning the fucking well instead of recognizing that these people came to these conclusions based on evidence. They just believed that. Like, fuck off, you stupid fucking retard.
Hypothesis. So
humans. It's a problem with humans, not just scientists.
Right? So this is what we all do. We fall in love.
No, that's what you do. That's what you do.
With an idea, we believe something, and we only see things that confirm it, and we kind of ignore everything that contradicts it. Well, in science, what scientists are supposed to do, what they're taught to do.
Doesn't know where vitamin A is found, but read 10,000 studies on nutrition. Somebody, like, a few people told me about that. Joe Rogan asked her about vitamin A, and she had no fucking idea.
Is to not behave in a human way. They're taught to rigorously distrust their beliefs. They're taught to try to find every way to shoot down their own hypothesis. That's the job of being a scientist. That's why they seem so cold and dispassionate, or to us mere humans. But in the case of nutrition science, that didn't happen. They fell in love with their idea. It was like a favored child.
Oh my god. Like, again, she's just fucking misrepresenting facts. She's misrepresenting the opinions of researchers. She's trying to poison the well. Yeah, somehow it's only nutrition science where, you know, researchers have this emotional attachment to their work. Like, fuck off. The reason they believe that is because the reason they believed that saturated fat and cholesterol caused heart disease is because that is what the research showed. Like, you're fucking stupid.
All they did was try to find evidence to support it. They cherry-picked the evidence again and again.
Oh, yeah, bullcrap. You're talking, yeah, cherry-picking. Like, how much fucking cherry-picking do you have to do to say butter is a fucking health food?
And they completely ignored, or actively even suppressed, any information that contradicted their ideas. So this scientist, Mark Hegstead at Harvard, he and his favorite colleague, Ansel Keys, who was from the University of Minnesota, they would actually bully and kind of stomp on scientists who came up with contradictory information.
Oh, she's going to bring up John Yudkin. Nobody bullied anyone. They just refuted bullcrap with better research. Watch this. She's going to bring up John Yudkin. I have a funny feeling.
They would actually suppress stuff. They would, and this is still going on today, which is what makes it such an interesting story. I mean, today it's the same phenomenon in nutrition science. This is the way nutrition science started, and it's the legacy that continues today, which is that
like, really, this idea that nutrition science is some high school popularity contest and scientists bully other scientists because they're big meanies. Like, no, there's this thing called peer review. Like, it's not bullying. It's just peer review. No.
Papers to the contrary, you know, hard to get them published, hard to get them discussed, hard to get them presented at expert meetings. And it's been driven by people who are really married to their hypothesis about what a healthy diet is.
Oh, so, again, she's literally saying the peer review process is useless. Like, no, when people come up with absolute retardation and they don't have any research to back it up, yeah, they're not taken seriously. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, you feel like what happened was the sugar industry came along and they found these people that already had beliefs that aligned up with what they were trying to sell.
Right.
So maybe they weren't even so so corrupt. Like maybe they've said, oh, well, these scientists know more than us. Just pay them to get this research out.
You know, you can't blame industries for trying to protect their products.
Right.
Like, why are you only talking about the sugar industry as if the sugar industry is the only food and commodities industry that pays for research? Like, what, the Meat Institute, is that what it's called? North American Meat Institute, like... You can look at these websites, what, the Egg Nutrition Center, like, all these, this is all industry-funded crap, and, like, they pay for fucking research. Like, why are you saying, like, oh, sugar industry? Why don't you talk about, like, the studies that are funded by animal products industries?
Industry
well, you
does
can,
it.
but
I mean, it's just what industry does. And, you know, if there was another story out recently about how sugar industry didn't pursue research they had done that seemed to show that sugar caused cancer. Well, I mean, if you're the sugar industry, like, what is your obligation to keep going? I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, they're no angels, but we should.
Oh, gee, the sugar industry wouldn't pursue research that showed sugar causes cancer. I wonder if the meat, dairy, and egg industry also do that. Fuckface.
You wouldn't expect corporations to be angels. What you do expect is for your scientists to behave in a principled way, right?
Right.
That's what we should expect.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets to a certain... I think if you look at cigarettes, for instance, in the tobacco industry, like, there's a large market for something we know kills people. I mean, you don't have to lie about it. You can have a warning on the label, and it still makes billions of dollars a year. Tell everybody, hey, this is definitely going to give you cancer. Keep smoking it. And they'll go, okay. And they'll buy it. They'll keep buying it. So it's not really that you need to lie about things. You really don't. I mean, people are more than willing, as long as it hits the right buttons and switches in their brain and their receptors, they're more than willing to put their health in danger for some temporary mouth pleasure.
Yeah, and this kind of goes to the subject that is, you know, debated in the food world, which is, you know, how much should the government be telling people what to eat?
Right.
Right? So there are people who say, you know, they believe sugar's like tobacco. If you eat it, you will if you eat a lot of sugar, you are much more likely to get diabetes and heart disease. I mean, I think that's, if you eat a lot of refined carbohydrates, or maybe even if you eat just too many carbohydrates, period, you're more likely to get diabetes and heart disease.
There's that recent study, it was on my Jordan Peterson video. Let me just look that up. Oh wait, I'm not on my main channel. I can't remember the name of the study, but so as most of that, there was no association between carbohydrate intake and risk of heart disease. I'll just search Jordan Peterson. Yeah, if you take a look at this paper, or sorry, the study that was referenced in this video, I can't remember the name, but it was a big recent study that was published. And let me just take a look here. Okay, here we go. Associations of fats and carbohydrate intake with cardiovascular disease and mortality in 18 countries from 5 continents. PURE. Okay, so the PURE study. They found no association between carbohydrate intake and risk of heart disease. So, like, it's funny how these people will talk about how, you know, there's so much recent research that shows there's no association between saturated fat and risk of heart disease. I've gone over why those studies are garbage so many times. But they will ignore studies like that, where there's huge studies that show there's no association between carbohydrate intake and risk of heart disease. and they'll just completely ignore that. Like, I'll agree there would be an association between processed sugar intake and risk of diabetes and heart disease. If anything, just because people who eat higher amounts of processed food just eat terribly in general. But I don't know why, like, you'd make that association between processed sugar and heart disease, diabetes, when there's also a very clear association between saturated fat intake and risk of heart disease and diabetes. It just makes no sense.
And become obese. So, but people like it.
They do like it, and then there's also people that are on a plant-based diet, like my friend Eddie, who you just met, was right before you, who's a vegan now. He's been a vegan, we say a couple of years, 3 years, I think he said. He eats way too many carbohydrates, and he's admitting it and talking about it, not exactly knowing how to fix his cravings and his urges. If you are on a completely plant-based diet, it's really hard to just go all fats and get the proper amount of unsaturated and saturated fats in your diet.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
my God.
so people are on vegan diets for many reasons.
Oh, this is good.
And that's their own personal choice. The reality is that there's a large body of rigorous research, by that I mean randomized controlled clinical trials on thousands of people, showing that a diet higher in fat and lower in carbohydrates leads to better outcomes in terms of diabetes, obesity.
Yeah, guess what? Vegans have the lowest risk of diabetes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
The heart disease. Those are the
Vegans have the lowest risk of heart disease. Again, what the fuck are you talking about? And lowest risk of obesity.
biggies, right? And so lowering carbohydrates is the way to reverse out of those diseases. If you're on a vegan diet, it's just very hard to do that in a low-carb way. What do you eat as your source of protein and fat? There are
lentils, avocados, nuts, seeds, tofu. Like, what's hard about this? Like, it's so rare for vegans to even get diabetes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
some plant fats. You can have a lot of coconut oil and
Avocado,
a lot of
Coconut oil
avocado.
isn't
But
even
it
good
just
for you.
becomes hard. Like, what do you put on your plate for dinner every night?
Right, right.
Like if you
It's hard to put plants on my plate for dinner. It's just so hard. I can't wrap my mind around it. What the fuck?
meat, you have a piece of meat.
Right.
What? It's easy to put meat on your plate, but for some reason it's hard to put tofu on your plate? What?
I mean, that used to be just at the center of the dinner plate, but it's hard on a vegan diet. Other thing that's very hard on a vegan diet
What?
is staying. You need to be really careful about nutritional supplements, and
Oh God, here we
because
go.
you cannot get all the nutrients that you need naturally from the foods that you're eating, and also some of those nutrients are not as biodigestible. I mean, your body doesn't absorb them as easily, like iron from.
Oh, the iron fallacy. Okay, so vegans are at no greater risk of developing iron deficiency in the first place, so this is just retarded. The reason why heme iron is more bioavailable is because it bypasses your body's regulatory mechanisms. So it's easy to consume too much iron on a meat-based diet, and heme iron is associated with heart disease, diabetes, and certain forms of cancer because not only is it a pro-oxidant, but it also catalyzes the endogenous production of N-nitroso compounds, which are extremely potent carcinogens. So, yeah, heme iron is more bioavailable, but that's not a good thing, you retarded bitch. Like, it's funny how you've read
Thousands and thousands of scientific
papers over, like, a decade, but you don't know fucking dick about nutrition.
Spinach is not as absorbable as iron from meat, so
Oh, really? So you're telling me iron from meat is better for me than iron from spinach, even though the iron in meat increases my risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. You're so fucking stupid, it's unreal.
so it's hard. It's hard to stay healthy on that diet.
Yeah, that is the
Wow, it's hard to stay healthy on a vegan diet, even though vegans have the lowest risk of obesity, diabetes, overall cancers, particularly hormone-related cancers. What, hypertension? Like, it's hard to stay healthy on a vegan diet, but vegans are the healthiest people. Yeah.
Big misconception, right? When you look at the total amount of iron or protein or anything in a plant-based diet, there's the bioavailability of that. That it's less, and people don't understand that.
Shit.
So when people do like hold up charts that show, hey, you can get a cup of broccoli and that has the same amount of protein as a cheeseburger. Oh no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It might on paper.
Yeah. Let's see how stupid that is. Cup of broccoli. Okay, like I know a cup of broccoli doesn't have as much protein as a cheeseburger. Cup chopped, 91 grams, 30 calories. So obviously it's not going to have as much protein. What's the total? 2.6 grams of protein. Cheeseburger, I guess we'll go with a McDonald's cheeseburger maybe. Taco burger with cheese, Burger King Whopper with cheese. Let's go with that. 724 calories, 29 grams of protein. Like, why would you use protein as an example? And if you read nitrogen balance studies, plant protein is just as bioavailable as animal protein. Like, when you talk about bioavailability when it comes to protein, it doesn't just mean the amount that gets absorbed. It has to do with how quickly it's absorbed. But overall nitrogen balance is really all that fucking matters. And also, there's placebo-controlled trials where, like, rice protein, pea protein, and soy protein built just as much muscle as whey protein. So, like, again, just stupid.
But in terms of how your body absorbs it, it's not equal.
No, or another example is carrots. They're supposed to give you vitamin A, right? But carrots they give you a precursor to vitamin A called carotenoids.
Yeah,
can it convert into vitamin A?
it.
Not that efficiently. Most people can't convert that efficiently, so they're not getting the kind of vitamin A they need.
Most people can't convert that efficiently. Well, let's just go to Chronometer. Carrot. Carrot raw. Yeah, let's go with a medium. One single medium carrot has 340% your daily vitamin A requirement. Sweet potatoes are even higher. Sweet potato baked. Let's go with a medium one. 730% for one sweet potato. Like, okay, well, I'll agree with you. Just for this, play devil's advocate here. Okay, we don't efficiently convert provitamin A carotenoids into fully formed vitamin A. It's incredibly easy to get over 1,000% of your daily required provitamin A carotenoid intake. Like, you're stupid. And again, show me the research that shows vegans tend to have vitamin A deficiencies. You can't, because there is none. You're just fucking stupid.
And what does vitamin A come from? What food sources?
I don't know.
Wow!
I don't know off the top of my head a
But
good
it's
Oh my god, it's worse than I thought.
source of vitamin
animal,
A.
some sort of animal source?
Yeah, it's animal. Let's see. I think you get pork, vitamin A.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, nutrition expert. Oh god. 10,000 what? She said she's read over 10,000 studies over like decades, and she doesn't know where vitamin A comes from. So she said pork. Pork rinds, pork fat, pork ears, pork liver, pork heart. She just said pork, so let's say just ham loaf, thin slice, FDA serving size, 0 vitamin A. Okay, so no, turns out pork isn't really a good source of vitamin A.
Sorry, I should know that. But
oh god. Wow. That's too fucking good. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make a video response to this. Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know how somebody could be this stupid. That was a lot worse than I thought it would be. Damn. Just... Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. We've got like about 4 minutes left. If you guys have any questions for me before I wrap it up, just go ahead and ask. So plans for future videos. I do want to get my response to Unnatural Vegan out within the next few days. For today, I was planning on uploading a video about that whole incident me and Jasmine had with that drunk girl. Because I think it is important to talk about those sorts of things, because there's a lot of like really stupid, naive girls who like get fucked up or drunk at like bars or parties, and then they just do a lot of dumb shit that puts them in a vulnerable position where they're like very likely to get raped. I wanted to talk about that. Response to Unnatural Vegan will be coming soon. I'm definitely going to make a response to this. Again, probably in the next few days. I want to do Dr. Eric Berg, Worst of the Healthcare Industry. I've already got the idea for the script in my head. I just need to get a like gorilla or monkey suit. So that's actually going to be a pretty good, fun video to shoot. Did you change your mind on creatine? I'm currently taking it now that I'm cutting, and it helps with focus and strength. You know, if you don't have any underlying kidney issues, I think it's perfectly fine. I wouldn't recommend it for someone like Jasmine, because she has almost died of kidney failure. So if you don't have any like kidney issues or your family history of kidney problems, then I'd say it's more than likely safe to take. Like, yeah, sure, if you're dieting and stuff and you have a lack of energy, I'm sure creatine can help. I just prefer to avoid it because I like to err on the side of caution, and really in the long run, I don't think it's really going to help you much. But, you know, yeah, if you're finding a benefit from it, then you're finding a benefit from it. How has the repeal of net neutrality affected you so far? Well, nothing's happened, and that was only in the United States. I don't know how that would affect Canada. So, nothing's happened. Like, I haven't noticed any throttling of anything. So, I'm with Bell as well. Bell is actually, it has a long track record of being pretty good with not doing any internet throttling. Rogers is so fucking terrible with internet throttling. If you can avoid using Rogers, then avoid it like the plague. Like, those are the two big ISPs in Canada. If you can avoid using Rogers, avoid it like the plague. They were doing this thing called speed boost technology as a marketing gimmick. Well, what would actually happen is, say if you pay for like a 100 megabit connection, what they do is you download something, and the download would initially be like 150 megabits per second magically, even though you're only paying for a 100 megabit connection. And then it would quickly dip down to like 20 megabit per second. So Rogers intentionally throttles the internet. One of the reasons being they oversell. They just don't have enough lines to support the amount of clients they have. But Bell is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with Bell. But I don't know, like the net neutrality thing hasn't affected me yet. Is the UV video going to be in the Vegan Scum series? No, I wouldn't call her scum. She's very dishonest. I disagree with a lot of things she says. She does, like, occasionally make really good videos, though. But she does also, like, fuck up a lot. And that whole, like, pro-natalism video she made against me is just a perfect example of one of her dishonest fuck-ups. And that's what the unnatural vegan video is going to focus on, that retarded pronatalism video response to me. Finn. Finn. Flap. 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 Yes, that's a good Finn. Thoughts on how to move mentally ill to a vegan diet, autism, bipolar, schizophrenia? Well, I know that high antioxidant diets. Finn, you're just too crazy.
Did they just jump on you?
Well, I asked him to. I know that high antioxidant diets can improve neuropsychiatric issues, including schizophrenia. So I don't know if it would help with bipolarism. I knew a girl who was bipolar, and she said once she switched to a vegan diet, it helped a lot. So autism, I'm not so sure if a vegan diet would help with autism or autism symptoms. It might, but yeah, I mean, at least neuropsychiatric issues like depression, schizophrenia, maybe bipolar disorder, it would probably help a vegan diet. So, hey Richard, did you hear about Alpha Destiny going fully plant-based? Yes, I've known about that for the last like 2-3 months since he announced it. So that's really good. He actually lives pretty close to me as well, so I think he's in Montreal. So it actually wouldn't be too hard to do a collab with him. Like, maybe I'll reach out to him in a bit and set something like that up. But yeah, that's really good. I mean, a lot of fitness YouTubers are going vegan, so that's great. I mean, it's becoming increasingly obvious now that like veganism is just ideal for health and athletic performance, so I think pretty soon we're gonna end up seeing most fitness YouTubers go vegan, or at least plant-based. Alright, so that'll be it for the stream. So like I said, today I'm gonna get out that video about alcohol and rape. I think I'm gonna film it with Jasmine, and it's just gonna be like an open discussion with me and her about like how alcohol is bad, like what to do if you really do need to get drunk, how women can protect themselves in particular, then like unnatural vegan response, another video about Joe Rogan. So that's going to be coming up in the next few days. Did you see Destiny's, the one you debated video on No Bullshit? He annihilated him. I haven't seen Destiny's video on No Bullshit. I'll check it out. Alright, so thanks for checking out the stream, guys, and as always, thanks a ton for supporting me on Patreon. Really helps tremendously. I can't thank you guys enough. Takes a lot of stress off of me, especially since, like, you know, videos get demonetized and crap. My Matt Dillahunty video, for whatever fucking reason, got not even demonetized, it got age restricted, which is fucking bizarre. It's not even, like, the worst video I've had out in the last while. So, again, thanks a lot, guys. I'll probably be hanging out on Discord for a while today, too, so, you know, if any of you want to chat on Discord, I'll be in there. And, as always, keep making those vegan gains. And I'll take off my sweater to actually show you the gains. I think my arms have definitely gotten bigger. Yeah. And the weight loss is going pretty well. I weighed in at 224 this morning. That was my lowest weigh-in last week, so this week I should be able to get down to at least 222, but I do want to aim for 220. I like losing weight very quickly. So, yeah. That's it, guys. I hope you all have a nice day.